What's going on, guys? We finally have Hornets news, which is just right what I wanted to hear is about a center. And it's not about Richard Holmes. It's not about Jared Allen. It's not about a free agent center. It's a center we could actually trade for and that we have actually shown interest in, which is not new. And some Hornets fans might think that our front office just doesn't want to sign players, but we have held the hand with most centers in reaching out contracts like Montrezl Harrell, like Willie Cauley-Stein. We've tried to get them in. And for the most part, they just not wanting to come to Charlotte for whatever reason. Maybe it's the city, maybe it's the money situation, maybe it's just the team situation, as our success throughout the years hasn't been the greatest. We have tried to sign centers, so I don't want Charlotte Hornets fans to always pin it on the ownership in being like, oh, well, why don't we have a center? It's because the centers don't want to come to us. But you can't. For a free agent, they have that. They have that own decision to make on which team they want to go to. If we're trading for someone, they don't have that decision. So if we trade for Myles Turner, as it's been expressed, we have strong interest in, as we should, because we really need a center, and that's not new. I think Myles Turner would welcome that with open arms. I think we have a stronger future than the Indiana Pacers do. The Indiana Pacers are also older, and they might have hit their peak a couple years ago, going into those second rounds. But regardless, we have strong interest in Myles Turner, and I'll just start out with his stat line, because I'm going to be honest. I have not watched much of the Pacers game. Obviously, that play-in game I watched the Pacers, but then they just lost the game after, so it didn't really matter. But from what his stats show, 3.4 blocks per game. He's a great rim protector, and that's really what we need, is a defensive-minded center. It also couples with 12.6 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 33.5% from three. A decent stat line. Obviously, a person like Richard Holmes averages more because he's on a better team. With Myles Turner, obviously these stats are going to be deflated a bit playing with Sabonis, playing with Malcolm Brogdon. But, with us, he's going to get more exposure. He's going to be on the floor more. And that's one of the problems with Myles Turner, too, is because he's not a stranger to injuries. And that's really not what we need. And that's why, some Hornets fans might look at Richard Holmes and be like, oh, this guy hasn't gotten injured. And he's a little bit... I think they're the same age. I think they're relatively the same age. But Hornets fans might look at Richard Holmes and be like, oh, this guy hasn't gotten injured at all. Why don't we just pick him up because he's, low risk? Well, I think Myles Turner is a better, overall player. He's better defensively. And even though he might not score as much as a Richard Holmes, I think he has the capability to. And especially from three. And that's kind of what we need, right? If I want to look at his contract, he's making $17.5 million per year over the next 2 years. So we don't have to worry about him being just a one and done with us and us having to trade away some pieces and some picks just for him to be a one season wonder with us. You know what I'm saying? So he is under contract for 2 more years. And what I really want to emphasize is that with Myles Turner, it is different from a signing like Jared Allen, a signing like Richard Holmes, where this guy can actually stretch the floor for us. And I really emphasize that in a couple of my past videos, and that every center that could come to Charlotte to the Charlotte Hornet video that I made maybe a week ago, a lot of those centers couldn't stretch the floor. Montrezl Harrell, Andre Drummond, Bobby Portis can, but it's not to the level as Myles Turner. Myles Turner can stretch the floor, and that's what you kind of need next to LaMelo. LaMelo needs that driving room to the basket. He doesn't want to be clogged up with Cody Zeller sitting right there with another defender in his face. He wants that free range, and then he can, kick it out more to Myles Turner, to, Miles Bridges, Malik Monk, Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier. He can kick it out more freely because the defenders have to collapse on him because the defender isn't already in the paint. You guys know what I'm saying? So you got that going for him. And then if I want to talk about the trade that could go down, because the problem, I see this a bunch with Hornets fans. they want a center, but they're not willing to trade away any pieces. The NBA is a give and take league. You got to give something away if you want to take Myles Turner. That's just the reality of it. We're not getting him for free. We're not giving both the Martin twins and Jalen McDaniels for Myles Turner. That's just not going to happen. We have to give away an actual valuable piece. And most Hornets fans aren't okay with that, and I think I am. And obviously it's hard with Hornets fans because, excuse me, most of our team has been built up through the draft. We drafted Malik Monk, Miles Bridges, P.J. Washington, Devontae Graham, obviously LaMelo. We have seen these players grow with us, so I realize the emphasis towards keeping them around because we've seen them grow up in front of our eyes. Obviously, players like P.J. Washington in his second year, we haven't as much because he's only a second-year player. But regardless, we have. And if I want to go on more about the trade, a couple years ago, before Gordon Hayward signed with the Hornets, and we did kind of a sign and trade, we gave him some money. And that money was used in turn for Evan Turner that they got at the trade deadline. Before that ever happened and before we ever got Gordon Hayward, it was reported that the Pacers wanted him in return, and the Celtics would get Myles Turner and Doug McDermott. Looking back, the Celtics should have definitely done that. I don't know why they didn't because they got Evan Fournier in return for Gordon Hayward instead. So it's really making me think if the Pacers still want Gordon Hayward because he is just coming off an injury. He did have a great year before the injury, but it's another injury tacked onto his body. He is 30 or 31 years old. So it makes me wonder if they still want Gordon Hayward because they expressed that interest a year ago. A little less than a year ago because this season has just flown by so fast. Do they still want him a year later? And I think they might. Because I've seen a lot of trades focused around Devontae Graham, and obviously that makes sense for us since he's leaving. He would be leaving already. We could sign him and then we could trade him away for Myles Turner. But the problem is the Pacers don't need him. They already have Malcolm Brogdon and T.J. McConnell as their 2 point guards. So why would they need another small point guard that shoots a lot? It just makes no sense that they would need Devontae Graham. So stop putting those trades in my face for a Devontae Graham and a first-round pick for Myles Turner. That's just not going to happen. A trade that could happen is, they need for the Pacers, they do need a dynamic scorer off the bench. And I know Devontae Graham does fit that category, but it's at the point guard position for Devontae Graham, so that makes no sense. Malik Monk, though. That fits their category, and I think we could package Malik Monk in with someone else. Another person I've seen flown around is Miles Bridges. That's obviously a way more valuable piece because his ceiling is way up here, and I think he's only at this level right now. He's shown that when given the opportunity, he can consistently average 20 points per game. But that was with everybody on our team out. But regardless, the Pacers do need a 3-spot open, and that would be for a Gordon Hayward or a Miles Bridges, as T.J. Warren cannot consistently stay healthy. Maybe he's a bubble fraud. I don't really know. But regardless, it's exciting to hear our ownership really vested, really interested in Myles Turner. And it's going to be it for me.